Welcome, and good morning, or whatever time of day it is when you're listening to this. I'm Kaylin Frechette, and I wanted to record a new yin yoga for you guys. So, yin is one of my favorite practices. It's one of the best ones. It really allows you to go inward, and it really allows you to get that really deep stretch that actually is where like flexibility and healing comes from. And what I mean by that is we hold our poses for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes I like to make us hold them a little bit longer because that's how long it takes us to get out of our head and really get connected with our breath in order to get really deep in our muscles. And what we do is we create little micro tears in our muscles, and we're sending our oxygen into those areas. So if we're in a pose and something is a little tight or a little off, I highly recommend, I invite you to like deepen your breath and try to focus on that area in your mind. So example, like maybe your right hip is really tight. Visualizing in your mind like that you're sending your breath all the way down into your right hip, and it's astonishing like the difference that will happen from that. I remember when I used to teach, I used to do a lot of yoga with my uncle, and he was like, wow, I can't believe that actually really works. And it does. So even if you're skeptical about it, like just give it a try and just see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, no big deal. It's just yoga. And yoga is all about doing whatever form of yoga or way of yoga works for you. So I've been teaching yoga for many years now, and I absolutely love it. It saved my life. I'm a huge advocate for it. I run my own home studio here in my backyard and do yogas and sound baths, as you can see on my sound bowls. And it's just a really magical practice to help you get to know your own body and your own mind and your own soul. Because when we do yoga, we start to like slow down our body long enough in order to reconnect with ourselves, to reconnect with our breath, slow our mind down and let all of those materialistic thoughts kind of go away and just like really focus on us. It's one of the best, like in my opinion, one of the best like self-care things that you can do. So I just really invite you to at least do like once a week. I don't always personally like sit and do an hour-long yoga, or I try to keep some of these short in order to like show everybody like you can do yoga in such a smaller amount of time and still get like the absolute benefits from it. So sometimes I'll just do like 5 or 10 minutes of yoga before, like yin, before I go to bed. I'll do like happy baby or child's pose to really like settle down my hips and my legs to help avoid the restless leg syndrome. Legs up the wall is one of the best poses you can do before bed, that and child's pose if you do nothing else, because it helps allow everything to come back down your legs and into your body and just get your body ready for rest. So with that being said, I am just a guide, especially with yin. We get into a pose, I like to say get into a pose maybe like 40% of how far you could actually go into it. And then allow your breath to guide you even deeper to like 50, 60, 70% into the pose. That's how we avoid injury. That's how we avoid, things happening. So I teach based on my own body, especially on these virtual yogas. So listen to your body. I don't know what's going on in your body. So if something doesn't feel right, if something is like pinching or pulling or, like the needles, ease out of it, go into something different. Do what works for your body because it's different than mine. So by going forward with this video, you automatically agree to my terms and conditions. My terms and conditions are like, I am not responsible for anything that happens within your body. Like you are responsible for listening to your body and making sure that you're not overstretching or doing something that's not safe for you. These videos are just a guide. If you need more clarity, please go to my website, amindfulbliss.com, and you can find my waiver and my terms and conditions on there. So with that being said, with yin, I love using props, and I highly recommend you do too. You can use meditation pillows, you can use bolsters, you can use pillows, rolled up towels, rolled up blankets. So pause this video to make sure to go and grab some of those. it helps us just get even deeper into the pose, because the using props, I used to see it as a weakness. It's not. It's a sense of support. Our props support us. And I hope that you see it that way too, but up to you. This is your yoga. This is your time. So do what works for you. Other than that, let's get started. We're actually going to get started in a seated position. Our hands are on our knees. Oh, the last thing I want to mention, I do teach with no music because music rights are really hard these days to like understand and make sure you're doing it right. So if you would like to play like a light, gentle music in the background, I highly invite you to. Seated position, our hands are on our knees facing up for receiving. Taking a nice deep breath in, straightening the spine. Open the mouth, exhale, and as you exhale, feel your shoulders soften, feel your eyebrows soften, your jaw soften. A deep breath in, mentally preparing your body, telling yourself there is nothing to do. And open the mouth, exhale, repeating, there is nowhere to be. With each inhale, envision yourself arriving in your practice, your time for you. And exhale, softening, letting something go. Doing a body scan. We're going to do a body scan over the next few breaths and just bring awareness to any areas that might feel tight. Bring awareness to that so we can just start to send our breath through it, to it for the rest of the practice. Inhaling, starting at our feet, noticing how our feet feel today. Our calves. Our knees. How do your knees feel today? Can you start to lengthen your exhale? How do your thighs feel today? How do your hips, your right hip, your left hip, how do they feel? Inhaling, bringing the breath into your pelvic area, up into the stomach, hanging out here for a moment around your belly button. How does your ego system, your solar plexus, how does that feel today, right at the belly button? Is it a little bit tingly or swirly, twisty? Is it nice and calm? There's no judgment here. We're just bringing awareness to it. Mentally asking yourself, envisioning your belly button, is there something I need to see? How am I feeling here today? Continuing to breathe, lengthening the exhale. Sitting on this spot. Beautiful. Let's move on. Remember, we're just observing here. Inhaling, pulling the breath up into your heart center. And just take a moment here and linger, just like with our solar plexus. How does your heart feel today? Is it heavy? Is it light? Do you feel gratitude, jealousy? Being able to name our emotions and our feelings in different areas of our body actually helps us remove them from our body. Inhaling, pulling your awareness into your throat. How is your throat feeling today? Does your truth feel nice and good and balanced? Is there something that you need to say that you haven't been saying? Is there something that needs let go of? How has your truth been? How has your throat chakra been? Remembering, just bringing awareness to it. We'll focus on these areas a little bit later. Beautiful. Now bringing your breath all the way up into your head. Noticing how your crown feels today. Yes, we're skipping the third eye. How does the crown feel today? Do you have a lot on your mind, or are you actually fully present here? Have you already started to wander during this entry meditation? How are you feeling today? Beautiful. A nice deep inhale, pulling the breath all the way through your body. And exhale, let it go. Beautiful. Let's take a moment to set our intention for this practice, set our intention for today. This is a new month, or just whenever you're listening to this, how do you want to show up for the rest of your month? Spending a moment just visualizing yourself going through the month that you're in. What shows up for you? What would you like to accomplish? How do you want to show up? Now turning this, whatever came up for you and how you want to show up, turning it into an intention. I am patient. Patience goes in and all around me. When I ebb and flow, I go through life with ease. I surrender. Whatever your intention is, repeat it to yourself 3 times, nice and clear. Hands come to heart center, bowing the head to yourself. And let's rock onto our hands and knees. So we're in a tabletop position. Our knees are directly underneath our hips. Our hands are underneath our shoulders. And let's just warm up for a moment. Our big toes touch. Let's sink our hips back towards our heels. Inhale, pushing up. Exhale, pushing your hips back. We're preparing and easing ourselves into child's pose, waking up the body. Inhale, pushing to table. And exhale, child's pose. Let's hold it. Now, I highly recommend taking a block and putting it between your hips and settling in. This allows each exhale to feel supported. Whatever is your case, coming down on your elbows, taking a moment to play around with your hip, your knee distance. Some of us might feel comfortable pulling the knees closer together. Others might be more comfortable with the knees out wide. Finding what feels good for you. And then our hands slowly glide out in front of us. Our forehead comes down to the mat. Maybe separating out the arms, whatever feels good for you, and start to settle in here, taking a nice deep inhale. And exhale. Deep breaths in and out, and with each exhale, allow yourself to feel yourself shift into your hips a little bit more. Open mouth exhales might help you get there too. And if your mind wanders, try counting your breath or bring your attention back to your intention, saying your intention or focusing on how you want to show up. We're going to be here for a few minutes, settling in. Can you soften just a little bit more? Remembering to try to get as soft as you can, letting all muscle engagement go, simply just existing with your breath. If this gets too intense, you can walk your knees in just a little bit, but try to remain still. Try to get connected with your body and your breath. A few more breaths. Can you get even softer? One more deep inhale. Open the mouth, let it go. Gently rolling up onto our elbows. Removing a block if you used one, and just lying on our tummies, letting our legs go out long. The hands come stacked on top of each other. Your forehead meets the top of your hands, just resetting the body. Now bring awareness to maybe how your hips feel. Are they a little bit tingly? Do they feel nice and refreshed? Beautiful. Gently pushing ourselves up, coming onto our backs, lying on your back. The feet are into the earth or the mat. Now, let's gently walk our toes out. Our knees fall into each other for support. Now, maybe you stay here because maybe this is enough for you. Otherwise, we're gonna push into our feet, lifting our hips up, and we'll put a block or a rolled up blanket or towel underneath our hips. Supported bridge pose. Now, the block or whatever you're using should be at a good amount on your low back and on the back of your hip bones. At the bottom of your spine, it should not be pinching or pulling in any way. Finding a comfortable position of what works for you, but having your feet out wide allows your body to actually be stillness. So take a moment to play around with your feet placement and get to a position where you can just let it go without any muscle engagement. Starting to lengthen your breath. I invite you to maybe think about the opportunities that this month may bring. Or maybe what's holding you back from aligning to being the person that you want to be. This could be limiting beliefs, other people, financials. Can you remind yourself that you are safe and that the block or whatever you're using to support you has your back? You are safe and you can trust this to support you. And see if that allows you to get a little softer. A few more breaths. One more deep breath in and out. Gently removing the block, finding the base of your spine, your hips onto the ground, and just being here for a moment. Maybe pulling your knees into your chest, rocking from side to side, giving it a little massage. And when you're ready, the feet go back into the mat, having option to have your black block for supine twist. We're going to take a nice deep inhale, and then exhale, sending the knees over to the left side of the mat. Now, option to have your right knee come out and touch the block. Maybe your left leg goes straight if you would like an even deeper twist. The hands come out by a T. So taking a moment here and finding what works for you and what your body needs right now. But get to a place where you can sink into your breath and have zero muscle engagement. Remember, option to count your breath. Or option to focus on your intention, or maybe focus on your gratitude practice, listing everything that you're grateful for, raising your vibration today. Lengthening your breath, can you soften even more? A few more breaths here. Can you lengthen your exhale? One more deep inhale. And let it go. Gently bringing your knees back to center. Pausing here, or once again, bringing your knees into your chest, rocking back and forth. Finding stillness here. Feet go back into the earth. Let's go ahead and do the other side before we start to wrap this up. And when you're ready, sending your knees over to the right side. Once again, option to have your knees reach a block. Maybe the knees just stay on top of each other. Finding whatever works for you. Maybe the right leg straightens, the left leg straightens. Meeting yourself where you're at and starting to sink in. Lengthening your breath, being present in this moment. My favorite to do in these poses is surrender. Just I surrender or I let go. Few more breaths here. Deep inhale. And let it go. Gently bringing the knees back to center. Happy baby, knees in, whatever feels good as we reset. Beautiful. Nice big body stretch, and we end with one more. Gently sitting up, nice and tall. For staff pose. We did all this work kind of opening the heart in the last few poses. We're going to focus on also closing the heart. And when we open up our back and close our heart, we open up our wisdom, we open up our intuition, and really are able to sink into that. I love using a cushion or something on my lap, again, because this is a really hard pose to have zero muscle engagement in personally. So you can have some blocks or a pillow or a blanket, whatever the case may be. But we're gonna sit nice and tall. Our legs are out straight. We're gonna inhale our hands up high above us, dropping the shoulders. And as you exhale, starting to reach forward, keeping a nice straight spine, pausing for a breath. And once you can't keep your spine straight anymore, that's when we drop our hands, drop our neck, soften our legs, and start to lengthen our breath. With each exhale, getting even more soft. This one I invite you to use, I am open to receiving. But you do you. Can you get just a little bit softer? A few more breaths here. Deep breath in and let it go. Gently sitting up. Doing any final poses before we do our Shavasana. Doing anything that feels really good for you right now. And then meet me in our final pose, Shavasana. Whatever feels good to you. You could also do fish pose or bound angle legs for this. Whatever feels good, meeting me in your final resting pose. Taking a few deep breaths to readily settle into the body. Now in Shavasana, I invite you to focus on all that you are grateful for. Focusing on our gratitude helps raise our vibration, helps us open to receive for abundance and for love. Or just focus on your breath. Feeling free to stay here as long as you would like. Otherwise, starting to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Maybe your hands go up above your head, giving a nice big stretch. And rolling to one side, your right or left, whatever feels good and calls to you first. Taking a moment to integrate your practice and notice how you feel. Gently pushing up to a seated position when you're ready. Hands come to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me for just 30 minutes of yin today. Thank you for prioritizing it for yourself, for your mind, your body, and your whole well-being. The light and darkness in me sees and honors the light and darkness in every single one of you, no matter where you are at in your journey. It's exactly where you're supposed to be. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day and the rest of your month. Namaste. If you would like to see more things from me, head over to my website, amindfulbliss.com. You'll see that I have an entire holistic wellness store. I'm a holistic nutritionist and an herbalist. So you'll see a ton of non-toxic products there, but you'll also see a lot of things for your mind and your body. I launched a self-love program. You can do the do-it-yourself downloadable version, or you can do the one-on-one version with me where you get 3 different calls that are an hour each, and we work and dive deep into like your self-love, and you come out of it definitely having a whole different sense of love for you and yourself. Also, my book, 180 Days of Mindfulness in Just 15 Minutes a Day, is now available on Amazon. If you go and search Kalynn Frechette, Kalynn Frechette, Frechettte, you'll notice I have 2 books. One is the actual book, and one is a journal that coincides with the book, but it also has moon tracking in it. And moon tracking is very important because so often we are reactive to where the moon is at in the phase. And so by being able to track like how you're feeling, you set your intention for the day, you mark the phase of the moon. You could just do nothing with that other than just like go back and compare and contrast, whatever the case may be. But the journal is, it's designed to do 180 days. It's 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of journaling, and then typically like 5 minutes of like yoga and moving your body. But the idea is that it can all be done in just 15 minutes, and everybody has 15 minutes, and it will be amazing to see like and just how much you can change and transform in such a small amount every single day. So definitely check those out. I also have a ton of meditations that are downloadable for like healing your inner child, bringing in gratitude, healing and really reflecting on like all of the traumas that kind of set in during the pandemic and like letting those go. I realized I had a lot of things that I didn't realize were buried, so that's a good one to let things go. So it has been my absolute honor, and look out for more things. There's a lot of like live sound baths and things on Eventbrite that I'm starting to do, and breathwork sessions, and I look forward to seeing you there. Once again, I'm Kalynn Frechette, and thank you so much for joining me today.